Alright guys, this is a quick update for the week. Alright, I have actually removed quite a significant portion of my watch list. Right, you can see on the right over here right now, what is really in my watch list remaining is I would say the 6 of it. Alright, earlier this week there were more, right, but that's the whole idea about having an update, right, so that we remain focused on those that has the highest potential of taking a trade. Right, now let's just get started on the dollar index first. At the start of the week we mentioned that we are looking for the weakness on the dollar. Nothing has changed. We are still expecting that overall movement to the downside, right, potentially towards this low of this structure, and then if it breaks, it might go all the way to 93.8 area. Right, and today, this week, NFP might give us that volatility in the dollar, right, to push this down. Right, but at this very moment, we are seeing that there are some form of bounce from this structure over here. Right, and I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say, this continue to go higher first and then come back down. Right, so this is something you want to be flexible in a certain way, right, because we need to always get ourselves updated and take in what the market is telling us, right, and not the other way. Right, it's not what we are expecting the market to do and then we enforce our view on it. We need to be flexible in terms of whenever the market is showing us something different, we need to adapt to it. Right, let's talk about euro dollar then. All right, euro dollar at the start of the week, I mentioned that we are looking for the upside. Nothing has changed much in terms of that bias, right? Yes, our price has already started to move higher, and then yesterday the Fed funds futures were released, the FOMC were released, and we saw the dollar strengthening quite a significant bit. Right, I'm not surprised in that drop as well, because this move up is not very impulsive. Okay, and I'm not even surprised if this continue to correct and then NFP continue to push it lower towards this low. Okay, but what I'm looking at is that the overall view and the overall direction on the euro dollar, it's due to the upside. Okay, so this doesn't change at all. The whole structure remains intact. We are right now just still inside it. I'm expecting that the mid to longer term picture is for it to reach even as high as 1.18. Okay, and that's something that I don't want to miss. Right, so I will actually be paying very close attention to this, and whenever I get a good buy setup, right, I would be looking to get on it. Right, so as of now, nothing much to take a trade on. Of course, if this continue to correct today and tomorrow, and it's not moving much, likely NFP is signaling a potential drop for the euro dollar, which means it's a positive thing for the US dollar. Right, of course, if this continue to correct, and this drop is a very short term trade, I wouldn't be keen to actually take on it. Even if I trade on it, it will be a very short one. All right, enter profit, either you shift to protect it or you take profit and exit. Euro dollar, we shared during the start of the week. Pound dollar, right, we shared during the start of the week as well. We are looking for this upside. You can see that we get a start of this move very strong. Okay, again, because of NFP, likely a major pairs will continue to consolidate all the way to Friday. And of course, this short-term bias is due to the upside potential towards 1.3380. Alright, a pretty decent move, alright, a couple of 100 pips that you can capitalize on. But I always want to also share that the overall structure is due to the downside on pound dollar, which means this long trade, that if you're taking it, is something short to medium term, and the longer term period is to the downside. Right, after this completed, maybe to the top of this structure, we'll be looking for that downside already. Right, New Zealand dollar, I'm still expecting that move to the upside. Right, you can see this pattern here is very corrective. It's a wedge, it's a diagonal. We get a small impulse. This correction pretty sharp. Okay, but nonetheless, it's a potential pattern that it can still go higher. Right, so if I get a setup, I'll be looking to take it potentially towards the 68.37 region. Alright, something that you want to consider for NFP as well. Okay, because that provides that kind of volatility. Those news provides the volatility for price to move. Okay, of all the pairs that I'm monitoring, Euro Yen is actually one of the clearest setup that I'm looking at right now. Overall picture is that we still have that room to drop. Right over here, you can see that we are expecting drop towards this previous low. If it goes further, it can even drop all the way towards this structure, which is around the 122.7 or 123 area. Okay, so pretty decent setup for us to look for the short trade. You can see over here, this is very clear. Okay, you get an impulse, you get a correction, you get another impulse, you get a correction, you are expecting another impulse, right? So this one here, there are a few techniques you want to consider. One is, of course, the break of this flag. Your stops, if you are very conservative, maybe a 50 pip above that structure with this target here, a very small risk reward of 1 to 2. If you go all the way down, you can expect your risk reward is about 1 to 4. And of course, if you're slightly more aggressive, you can even look to take a trade at the top here. If it continues to bounce, you have some form of pattern recognition in terms of candlestick, rejection and things like that. Maybe a 25 pip stops, right, with the same target at the previous low at 123.6. you get a risk reward of 1 to 6 already, right? And if you target all the way low below here, you can get close to 1 to 10, right? So pretty decent. Something that I would say for the rest of this week, even to the early next week, I'll be paying very close attention on the Euro Yen. Pound Aussie, we talk about this, and we have a very good move, right? And this is very clear, right? I talk about this on Monday, and if you're on this trade, right, continue to just hold on to it with a potential target at 1.8734, depending on how you get in. Okay, if you get in on the break of this flag with a stop below the previous low is about 90 pip. If you put this target here, you get a distant 1 to 3.8, close to 1 to 4. Not too bad. Okay, if you somehow manage to take in a 50 pip stops, of course your risk reward is better. Okay, I wouldn't suggest or even recommend that you take any long trade at this very moment, simply because the upside is pretty capped, right? You can see now price is at 1.6. The target that we're looking at is just about 1.87. It's about just about 100 pips. You wouldn't want to jump onto that trade because it's very, very short term. The upside is pretty limited. Alright, the overall structure, you can see we are still expecting a big move to the downside after that. Okay, so pay attention to that. If you miss the upside, don't worry about it. Pay attention to the downside for Pound Aussie as it develops. New Zealand Canadian, we are expecting the upside since the start of this week. Because of this pattern, you can see it's a wedge, it's a diagonal. We are expecting upside. We don't really get that move after this consolidation. Alright, price kind of found resistance at the top, it make a push down. This is very corrective, so I'm expecting one more move to the downside, giving us the few support at the structure, and then this is the key area for us to look for the upside. Alright, so once you understand structure and patterns in the market, you realize that you are able to actually forecast a few steps ahead of what the market is doing. And even if it doesn't do what we expect, because initially we expect it to break from here, okay, even if it doesn't do what we are expecting and planning, all right, with the ability to understand what it's doing in terms of probability, you won't be panicking, all right, because you know that this move here, this whole structure don't change. Even if it drops another time, it don't change the entire structure. We are still looking for the upside. Okay, so this one here, you might get it by end of tomorrow or even the start of next week. If this gives us a drop, ideally, if it forms a pattern like that as it drops, it's even clearer. Okay, so this is something that I want to also share with you so that you have this on your watch list for New Zealand Canadian. Alright, so a very quick update on the watch list. I've cleared off the rest. Those are no longer of my interest, at least for this week, for the remaining of today and tomorrow. Alright, so I'll be paying very close attention to Euro Yen, and of course New Zealand dollar if let's say NFP give us that kind of volatility to move price in what we're expecting it to do. Right, again, if you benefited from this video, do like it, okay, and of course if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below this video. And if you believe that such video can provide certain insights and benefit your community, your friends in trading as well, do feel free, and I really appreciate that you can share this video with them as well. Right, so with that, I'll talk to you early next week or over the weekend as we share more about next week market watch list.